Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for another video. It's June already, which means it's time for the May wrap up. So I'm just going to go through everything I read last month, what I thought about it, and yeah, just talk about a couple of things that I'm going to read this month as well. So yeah, let's get into it. It's really windy here right now, like really windy. So if you hear that, it's just the wind. We got like one day of summer and it was last week. It is not good. It's really, the weather is awful here. It feels like winter. I'm dressed for the winter. I read a total of 9 books in May and my Storygraph average rating was 3.53. So, not bad. I read 4 physical books, 2 ebooks and 3 audiobooks. Maths. Okay, the first book that I read in May, well that I finished in May, I don't actually have it because I borrowed it from my gran and I gave it back. So it was Chocolat by Joanne Harris. I think I said this in my last wrap up because I had started reading it. I remember my mum telling me to read this book years ago and I didn't. And then there was a prequel out recently and everyone was talking about it again in my family and I was like, okay, now's the time I'm going to start it. I actually really liked it. It's about a woman who moves to a small town in France with her young daughter and she opens a chocolate shop, but the town is like quite religious and the priest hates her because it's the start of Lent and she's getting people to like break their Lent promises by giving them their favourite chocolates. She has like kind of a psychic thing. She can tell what people's favourites are, and it really gets them to keep coming back. And so the book's just kind of her getting to know all the people in the town and the priest kind of plotting to take her down because she's ruining his religious town. I really enjoyed reading it. I was just reading it quite slowly, like a day here, a day there, and yeah, it was a really nice time to just sit and read. I don't really have too much else to say about it. It was a nice relaxing time. I know there are other books that follow this main character that came after this one. I don't really think I feel the urge to read all of them or anything like that. Maybe the prequel that just came out just because people in my family are talking about it and I like to know what's going on. But yeah, I enjoyed reading this one. I'm glad I finally read it. I didn't realise until I was like about to start reading it that it had the magical realism stuff in it. So it was really fun. Definitely made me more interested to read it and I really enjoyed that part of it and I ended up rating it 3.5 stars. Okay, the second book that I finished in May was for Books and Lala's Literally Dead book club and it was The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. I don't have a physical copy of this, I got the audio version from the library. When I saw this was the book I was really excited because I'd heard so much about it. I think there was some press around who the author was. I think it was like announced that it was a collab and people didn't know at first who it was, and then it was announced that it's V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark, I think it is, and that kind of got people quite hyped about it. I read the blurb and it's about a group of authors who are invited to the private island of this really famous old author, and when they get there they find out that he's actually dead and they're all competing to write the ending of his last book and they'll get so much money and fame and stuff from this, so they all really want it. It was really giving me the vibe of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which is like an iconic murder mystery by Agatha Christie, of course. So I was kind of expecting those kind of vibes, like a fun murder mystery. I was quite excited to read it, but I ended up just like being really disappointed in it. I didn't feel like any of the characters were that interesting. I didn't really care much about them. All the twists were a bit flat. It just kind of felt a bit like weak, a bit gimmicky. It kind of felt like it couldn't really decide what it wanted to be and it was trying to be too many things but not really getting any of them. Yeah, I just didn't really like it. I didn't really like the ending. Yeah, it just didn't really hit for me. It might be your thing, it just wasn't really mine. This is format specific because obviously, as I said, I listened to the audio and I really wouldn't recommend it. I don't know, I don't really think that my rating would have changed much if I had read the physical version, because I didn't like the story anyway, but I really didn't like the way this book was narrated. It's kind of an ensemble of characters, but there's only one narrator, and it's set on an island in Scotland, and there's more than one Scottish character, but the narrator's Scottish accent was so bad. Like, it felt like it was making fun of Scottish accents. And there was a couple of bits where there was like Scots words just thrown in, and the pronunciation, oh, I was really struggling with that. I really did not like that. I'd put it in the wee Fable chat thing for the first chapter, and a couple of people had replied saying that they didn't enjoy the narration, like nothing to do with accents, just for other reasons as well. So yeah, I think if you're still interested in picking it up to read the story, I would say try it in print maybe, but I don't think it would have changed my overall rating, which was 2 stars. Okay, the next book I finished in May was another audiobook, and it was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is only my second Emily Henry. I've only read People We Meet on Vacation before this, and both of these I have read because I see the movies coming out and I need to know. This one is about a girl, her dad passes away, she finds out he had all these secrets and he's left her this beach house, and she goes to the beach house and her neighbour is this guy that she knows because they're both authors. She's a romance author, and she thinks he's like really pretentious, and he only writes like dark, serious stories, and he hates romance. And then they kind of become friends, and they decide to like swap genres and try and write something in each other's genre. And yeah, I thought it was quite fun. I definitely cared about the characters in this one a bit more than People We Meet on Vacation, I think. I think they maybe just had a bit more depth to them for me. There was a lot about like grief and family and stuff. And yeah, I cared a bit more about their story together. And yeah, I quite enjoyed listening to this one. I had quite a good time. I know there's been some stuff happening with the casting and stuff of the movie. I'll definitely be interested to see how it ends up, how it goes when it comes out, if it's good or whatever. But yeah, quite enjoyed my time reading this one. A fun romance audiobook for when I'm doing my little chores, which I love as always. I rated this one 3.5 stars. Okay, next book that I finished I actually have, and it's Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I have now read the other two in this trilogy, and holding this one, it feels tiny. It feels so small. This is the first book in the Farseer trilogy, and also the first book in the Enderlings like universe by Robin Hobb, where there's loads of books, there's loads of different series that are all interconnected, and this is the first one of the first series, so it felt like I was starting such a big world, which was so exciting. We are following our main character, this wee boy called Fitz. He's just a young lad at the start, and he's the illegitimate son of the prince who is next in line for the throne, and he's kind of just left to be raised kind of at the royal household, but he's not really a part of the family, but he's also not really an outsider because he does have royal blood. And it's kind of about him kind of growing up there and seeing what his place is in this big political royal drama that is going on. It really is a lot of world building and politics in the first book, but I was expecting that because it's a high fantasy series, and that is, I knew that was going to be the case, but I really wasn't finding it boring at all. I think it was really interesting. I really liked learning about the world, and the kind of magical elements and stuff, really interesting. Loads of characters to meet and stuff, so it was a lot of like setting up. I would say most of it is quite slow and like you're learning stuff, but yeah, not boring or anything. The last quarter, it goes like woof, and everything is happening at once, but I think it really does a good job of setting up like what's to come and introducing you to this world. I think Fitz is a really good main character to follow because he's kind of like an insider and an outsider at the same time, so he sees people inside the royals and outside the royals, and you kind of can see all different parts of the world that other characters maybe wouldn't all see. So I think that was really interesting. You know, we're meeting him when he's just a wee boy and kind of seeing him grow up and stuff, so you're really getting to know him being in his head. And yeah, it was really good first book for a big fantasy series. It definitely made me excited to read more of them. Yeah, I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, the next book I finished I have as an ebook. It was an ARC from NetGalley, and this was for another Books and Lila book club, the Besties book club this time. It was The Geomagician by Jennifer Mandula. Can you see? This is a historical fantasy. It's about a fossil hunter in Victorian times, and she is looking for fossils. One day she finds a preserved pterodactyl egg, and when she touches it, it hatches and she has a baby pterodactyl. That's kind of the premise of the book. That's kind of what I knew going into it. The way the world works in this book is people can use fossils and stones and stuff to like channel magic and use magic, and there's a big Geomagician Institute thing in London, and the main character Mary, she really wants to go and study there and work there because she's really good at finding the fossils and she knows so much about them, but she's not allowed because it's Victorian times and she's a woman. So when she finds this pterodactyl, she goes to London and she's presenting her findings and she thinks this is going to be my chance to get in as a woman. They're going to take me seriously now because of this amazing finding. I really wasn't sure going in if I was going to like this, because when I looked up what it was about and stuff, it was kind of given like a cute dinosaur romantasy vibe. And I was like, am I going to like that? I don't know if that's for me. But the actual story is so much about misogyny and patriarchy and politics and religion, and it was so much darker than I expected, and I ended up really enjoying it. I can understand that people wouldn't like it because the main character is quite unlikable at times, but I think I really liked the character development in the book and how like the characters change as they learn more about the world. I think that was really good, and there is a lot more like religious stuff, which I know people could not like as well, but I really liked the way they kind of like it like was woven in with their magic systems and like their beliefs about their world and stuff. I found that so interesting. I really liked it, and I know there's a second book coming out. I'll definitely be interested to read that one as well. I quite want to get a physical copy of this one as well for my shelves, so yeah, we'll see. It kind of got me thinking about how like I actually really enjoy Victorian times fantasy, because Infernal Devices is that as well, and I hadn't really made the connection in my head that I really enjoy that. So I'll definitely be looking out for more books like that now that I've realised that, which is so fun to realise another thing that you like that you can keep your eye out for. I feel like the ending was maybe a wee bit rushed, but overall I really enjoyed this. I really had a good time reading it, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I finished in May was What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. You might have seen me read this if you watched my vlog, because I read it all in one day on the really sunny day outside, and it was absolutely lovely. This is about a retired soldier who hears that one of their childhood friends is very sick, so they go to visit the house and there's strange stuff happening. The friend and her brother are acting really weird. The house is really like run down and strange. Weird plants are growing outside, weird animals are kicking about outside, just a lot of stuff going on. So our main character has to kind of have a look around and see what's happening, and I think bits of this were really so creepy. I think T. Kingfisher can really write that weird kind of horror that gives you that kind of like shivers. For such a wee book, it had so much in it. It was really atmospheric. I liked learning about the world. It had a lot to say about like gender and things like that, which I really enjoyed. And I know it's a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher, but I don't think you really need to know that to go into this one and enjoy it. I have the second book on my shelves, and I know that a third one has just come out, I think, so I'll definitely be reading those as well and continuing on with this because I really enjoyed this one. Just a really fun, quick horror read, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, next book I finished was another audiobook. I had put in my last wrap up that I had read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and a couple of people had said maybe I would enjoy Bride because it has vampires in it and I love vampire stories. So I did listen to the Bride audiobook, and this is about the female main character is the daughter of like the head vampire, and then the male main character is like the head of the werewolves, and they get married as kind of like a bargain, like, and she agrees to it because she thinks the werewolves have kidnapped her best friend who's a human. I will say, when I went into it, I didn't realise there was the kidnapping thing, so I enjoyed that there was a bit more of like a mystery going on than I was expecting. I was like, oh, okay, I can engage with this. I like that, but it's a romance book and I did not like the romance. I didn't like them. They were cringing me out, and there's so much of that in it, and it was just cringing me. So yeah, it just wasn't really for me. Like, I understand why other people like it, but just wasn't really my thing. But now I know. Now I've read it and I know what it's about. So I gave it 2.5 stars. Okay, the next book that I finished was for my in-person book club, Chapter 25 book club, that I go to, and it was Fundamentally by Nusaybah Yunus. And it's about a woman who gets a job for the UN, where she's working on this programme to try and de-radicalise ISIS brides with the goal of eventually getting them back home. And I definitely feel like I learned something from this. I think the author herself worked in something similar, the UN as well maybe, and you can really tell that she put a lot of like real life into this, like that the frustration of reading it, where it's like this person wants to do something for the good of these women, but they're getting roadblocked by these people at the top who are part of the system. They just want to be bribed, and it was really frustrating to read. And you can tell that there's a lot of real life. You could tell by the way places were described and stuff. It felt really real. You could really like visualize what she was talking about, and it was done in a way you could really understand it. This is one of those books that it's like, oh, this is a funny book. I could tell it was written in that way because it's such a dark, difficult topic, and it was written in a way that more people would pick up and read. It was approachable, but you still learn something from it, and I really understand that, and I think it's a good idea. I just didn't really like the narrative style of it. I really didn't like being in the main character's head. I didn't like her. I didn't really like the characters. I think maybe it just wasn't my kind of humour. I know that people in the club like and really enjoyed it and found it really, really funny. It just wasn't, I didn't really like the way it was written, especially. I can appreciate like the things that I learned from it and what it was saying, but I didn't really enjoy reading the book, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what to rate this. There was like ups and downs with it, but I ended up rating it a 3.5. And I think that feels right, because I think it's good, but I didn't really enjoy it. Okay, this is the last one, book number 9. Last book I finished in May was The Outrun by Amy Liptrop. This is a non-fiction book. It's about a woman who grew up in Orkney, which, in case anyone doesn't know, is a group of small islands right up at the top of Scotland. Really, really north. And she wants to get out of these wee islands and go into the real world in a way, and she moves to London, but she ends up really struggling with alcoholism and gets herself into some bad situations, and she ends up having to move back home to Orkney, and she's kind of rediscovering this place she grew up as an adult, as like this new person going through a new stage of life, and I really enjoyed it. I've been saying I want to try and read a bit more non-fiction. I think I just struggle to know what kind of non-fiction I like to read, but I really, really enjoyed the way this was written. The writing, the descriptions of Orkney and the wildlife and nature and everything was just so lovely, and I really liked the way the story was told, not in a linear way. She kind of, as she's doing things back in Orkney, she's linking it to parts of what she went through in London, parts of how she grew up, and it's kind of like you're having these memories alongside her, and I really enjoyed that. I think it was a really good way to tell the story. I've never been to Orkney, but it definitely really made me want to go, and I really enjoyed learning some bits of Orkney like folklore and history that I didn't know. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I really like this. Obviously a sad story, but really great writing and really interesting stuff about Orkney. So I rated this a 4.5. So that's all 9 books that I read in May, a real mixture as always. But yeah, I enjoyed my time reading in May and got a lot of great books to read in June as well. I've made the summer spinny wheels, which I have done like a reel and a YouTube short and a TikTok, and part of that I show the wheels and talk about them a bit. If you're interested, you could have a look at that. And I'll be doing those, but also I'm doing my family recommendations as well for a video that I will be posting in the future. I got a recommendation from different members of my family and I'll read them all and I'll talk a bit about them. So I'm really looking forward to that because it's a real mixture of stuff that we've got for that. Right now I've got my current wheel spin that I just did today, which is Bone of My Bone by Joanna Van Veen. So I'm not started it quite yet, I literally just spun the wheel and posted the video today as I'm filming this. So I'm excited to get into that after I've finished the Robin Hobb trilogy. So I'm ready for like a little change of pace, a wee horror to switch it up a bit. So looking forward to getting into that. I also have a couple of book club books to read this month. So for my in-person book club, chapter 25, I've got The Artist by Lucy Steeds. I don't know that much about this. I think it's a historical lit fic, but I know that it won Waterstone's Book of the Year last year, I think, so I'm interested. I'm excited to get into it and see. I really like the colour of this. And for Books on Lala Literally Dead Book Club, I picked this up, a new release, a hardback, which I hardly ever do, 5 by Ilona Bannister, which is like a mystery, crime, murder kind of one. I'm really excited to get into it. It's not too long. I'm probably going to start that one pretty soon. So I've got these 3 lined up for now, and then my family recommendations, and then anything else will be from the spinny wheel. So if you want to see that, go and check out on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Okay, that's everything. So thank you so much everyone for joining me for this video. I'm so excited to work on some more videos for this channel, and please, as always, if you've read any of these, you have anything to tell me about them, any recommendations for me, anything specific that you want to see from me on here, I would love to hear it in the comments. I would love to chat in the comments, so please do say down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.